Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining today. I wanted to seek blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gonitai Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So continue with Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5 today. Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. A summary so far, in a brief, is chapter 1, Krishna's main man, Arjun, didn't want to fight due to weakness of heart. In chapter 2, he asks Krishna for help, who gives him his real identity as a soul, and also advises him his duties and the nature of the person who does his duties as well. Third chapter is Karma Yoga. Krishna explains how one can do one's duty without attachment to the fruits, and in that way set an example to the world and avoid sin. And in chapter 4, which is what we discussed yesterday, he explains how transcendental knowledge is passed down, what his own mission is on earth, the different types of action, that's karma, vikarma and akarma, and the importance of acquiring knowledge. So this is now chapter 5, action in Krishna consciousness. And the summary of this chapter is Arjun wanted further clarification as he was confused by Krishna's instructions of renunciation. So the Lord guides how to turn work into worship. Some people say work is worship, but actually you have to turn the work into worship. Our duties need to turn into worship. Outwardly performing all actions, but inwardly renouncing their fruits, the wise man, purified by the fire of transcendental knowledge, attains peace, detachment, forbearance, spiritual vision, and bliss. So how can we get there? Okay, not an easy journey, but it starts with a step in the right direction. And in this chapter, Krishna explains how to take steps in the right direction. There are steps leading to further entanglement in worldly complexities, but there are also steps leading to a life of liberation, freedom, and tranquility. Themes of this chapter are Nishkam Karma Yoga. So this is where you surrender the results to the Supreme Lord. This is very, very close to Bhakti Yoga. The result of such action is that we, the soul, will realize we are not the doers. So we are simply Atma who has a desire. Everything else is done by Mother Nature or Paramatma, like that. When taking shelter of the Lord, the soul will see all souls with equal vision. The Lord also gives the first hint of Astanga Yoga here, because chapter 6 is all about Astanga Yoga. Understanding the position of the Lord leads to the peace formula. So let's start chapter 1. Sitaram Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Text 1. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" Number 2. The personality of Godhead replied, "The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work." Number 3. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from the dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. Number 4. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, Karma Yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world. Sankhya. Those who actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Text 5. One who knows that the position of reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level sees things as they are. But 6. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. 7. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. So, always working, such a man is never entangled. Text 8 to 9. A person in the divine consciousness also engage in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material sense are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Number 10. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the result unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. 11. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. But 12. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you very much. So a few very interesting verses, in fact, a lot of interesting verses. How he's saying the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, devotional service is better. Very interesting that. And he's also saying one who works in devotion, who's a pure soul, controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. And somewhere else he says, what else was there? Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service cannot make one happy. So devotional service is so important. Krishna just hammers it through the Gita. So, summary of these 12 verses. Despite Krishna's explanations in chapter 3, Arjuna still considers work and renunciation to be mutually exclusive. But they're not. One can work in devotion. That's the point Krishna is going to make. An individual who works in a spiritual consciousness is automatically elevated to the platform of renunciation. One who does service in devotion is automatically renounced. Just like a 50-pound note includes a 20-pound note already. If one engages in righteous work, offering the results to God, and all the while keeping alert to the ultimate goal, such work becomes worship. So this is the point. It's not that we can go to work, any old work, and it's worship. No, no, no. If one is engaged in righteous work and offering that result to the Lord, whilst keeping in mind the ultimate goal, that's worship. For most people, it would be premature and detrimental to sever themselves from worldly relationships and duties in pursuance of spiritual perfection. It's just not going to be possible. Because ultimately, if we do it prematurely, we'll come back to the worldly platform again. Thus, the path of karma yoga offers a progressive means of spiritual development while simultaneously staying in this world. So karma yoga is very powerful because you utilize what you have in this world, the body, the relationships, the possessions in the service of the Lord. Just as a lotus flower is surrounded by water but remains completely dry, one can stay in the world and still remain aloof from its nuances. So what is the lesson? How to purify our work obligations. This is one example how it can be done. A portion of the results should be used in the service of the Lord. So Rupa Goswami, he gave the formula: 50% for the Lord, 25% for the family, 25% reserve. But we have to do what is practical, especially with the economic situations in the various countries. But we should definitely reserve some aspect of our wealth for the service of the Lord. Very, very important to do that. Otherwise, where is the renunciation? Where is the attachment to the Lord if we can't give up what is valuable to us? Money is valuable to us. So if we give some of that to the Lord, it pleases him. He doesn't need it. The temples don't need it. God doesn't need anything, but we need to give. Very important. So let's read on 13. Shyam Malini, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Text 13. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Text 14, the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Text 15, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Text 16, when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
Thank you. So these four verses, very, very nice verses. While living in this world, one can easily assume the mentality that we are the director, the controller, and the breadwinner. We are thinking we're doing everything. But actually, in reality, Krishna explains there are 3 doers in any activity. The soul, that's us, individual soul, but we can only desire. That's it. What to speak of controlling the result of our activities? We are barely in control of even the physical and mental tools with which we perform these activities. All we can do is we have this desire, icha. That's it. That's all we can have. But the Lord is so kind, he fulfills that desire. Super soul is the second controller. That desire is then sanctioned by God, who resides within the heart as a super soul. And the third is material nature. The ability to perform that activity comes from material nature, devatas, which arranges the necessary facilities. So this is really important to understand. And it's a very tough philosophical point to understand, that we are not the doer, because our very nature is that we think we're doing things. But that is a big fallacy, because all the soul can do is desire. The rest is done by material nature through the arrangement of the demigods and Paramatma, who fulfills the sanctions, the desires to be fulfilled. So not an easy philosophical point to understand, because all our life we are used to, I did this, I did that. So lesson from this. It's all in relation to our desires, because whatever we desire, it will get fulfilled. The Lord will fulfill it one way or another. It may not come in the way that we completely want it, but it'll come. When we desire to buy something non-essential, Think once, think twice, think thrice. Whether we really, really, really need the item we desire. Generally, we find by the time we have asked this ourselves, the third time we decide we do not need the item. This demonstrates that the soul can only desire, and we can also control our desires. So this is especially when we have difficult situations going on throughout the world, in fact, through recession and COVID, whatever it was, and this and that, war going on. So in these times, we know material challenges will be there. So this is a good time, actually. Challenges are good, because otherwise we become very lax in our attitude towards anything. So challenges are really good, because then we get focused on, especially when we can't meet those challenges, or we're struggling to meet the challenge, because then we can take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And in any case, we should take shelter, but especially when challenges come. Kunti Mata used to pray, please, my dear Lord, give me difficulty after difficulty, because then I can remember you more and more. Because we don't want to ask for difficulties, because they'll come naturally. This is Kali Yuga. This is the age of difficulty. But when they come, even when they don't come, we take shelter of the Lord. But when they come, we take advantage of those difficulties and challenges. We turn the challenges into advantages, because when challenges come, we can, even with more sincerity, pray to the Lord, please, 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 my dear Lord, get me out of this mess. So, which is not a bad thing. At least we're remembering the Lord. The pure devotee, of course, doesn't even ask for protection. He's like Prahlad Maharaj. He was assaulted by his father and his cronies constantly, yet he never once asked for shelter from the Lord. He would just remember the Lord naturally. But that's a long way away, very long way away. So desire, we have to try to control our desires. Then our life will be a little bit more easier, smoother. So this is an interesting diagram. Relationship between the soul, super soul, and the modes of material nature. The soul desires, the Lord won't interfere with the desire. But as the Lord, he will sanction those desires, which the soul deserves, of course. And material nature, through the agency of the devatas, will make those desires fructify. So who is actually responsible? Well, the living entity is responsible for his own good and bad actions because of the desire. So he's responsible. Super soul is not responsible. He's the witness, and he's the fulfiller and the ultimate controller anyway, an initiator of what the modes of material nature does. So benefit of understanding the position of the Supreme, it leads to the state of perfect knowledge. So this is where we want to be. If we want to desire anything, desire that we get closer to the Supreme Lord. That's the best thing we can do. So we haven't asked Prabhaben to read. Prabhaben, tamne vachu che? How good is your English?
Yeah, I mean, I can read it, but I can't read like Rayans. You read very fast.
Riyansh, nobody can read like Riyansh.
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, go for it. Try.
Right,
Yes.
yeah. So you just say Karma Yoga, action in Krishna's consciousness, yeah?
Yeah.
Just forgive me any
No problem, no problem.
No pronunciation, yeah?
No problem.
Text 17. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed and misgivings through the complete knowledge, and thus proceed straight on the path of liberation. Text 18. The humble sages, by ritual and true knowledge, see equal vision, learn and gentle Brahmana, Brahman, a cow, elephant, a dog, and a dog eater.
Yeah.
Outcast. Yeah. Dog eater outcast. Text 19. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered and condition of the birth and the death. They are the flawless and Brahman, and thus they are already situation in Brahman. Text 20. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor lament upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is a self-intelligent and who is unbeliever,
yeah,
and who knows the signs of God, and who knows the signs of God is already situated in the transcendence. Is that right?
that's right. Transcendence. Yeah.
Transcendence. Text 21. Such liberated person is not attracted to the sense. I can't see because I see your
Yeah, I can do
picture
that.
there.
Sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. So you can read these as well if you like.
Right, thank you. Text 22. An intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery, which are due to the contact with the material sense. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have beginning and end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Text 23. Before giving up the present body, if one is able to tolerate the urge of material sense and check the force of desire, anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Text 24. One whose happiness is within, who is active, rejoice within, and whose aim is inward and actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Text 25. Those who are beyond the dualities and arise from the doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of living being, and who are free from all the sins, achieve the liberation in the Supreme.
Very good. And the last 3 verses.
Oh, okay. Text 26. Those who are free from anger, all material desires, who are the self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for the perfection, and sure of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Text 27 and 28. Shutting out all the external sense objects, keep the eyes and the vision concentrated between the 2 eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, sense, and intelligence. The
A transcendentalist.
Right, I can't say that. Transcendentalist.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Aiming the liberation becomes free from the desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
Very good.
I just wanted to ask the question there.
Yes.
Within the nostrils, what does that mean?
This is where he's giving this
outward
Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga. This will be explained a lot more in the next chapter. This is where he's giving a hint to Arjun. If he wants to go to the forest, then this is what is required. And then 6th chapter, he gives a lot of detail. And then Arjun says, impossible. Can't do it.
Can't do it. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The advanced spiritualist is able to see that a spiritual soul is present in all varieties of life, be it plant, animal, human. Therefore, utmost respect is given to every living entity. And this is the verse. We read it, 518. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Swapakacha Pandita Sammadarshana. This humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned Brahman, learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, elephant, dog, and dog-eater outcast. So this is the position of the sage. He can see them equally because he's looking at the soul. He's not looking at the outward body. Every living entity is of the same spiritual quality. Different bodies with different qualities are produced according to karma, desires, and consciousness. So those three things determine our next life. So our bodies are different, but the soul is the same. Thus, the spiritualist is not only free from racism, racism, nationalism, ageism, sexism, but also speciesism. So the sage, he doesn't even distinguish between the dog and the dog eater. Lesson, this is really powerful lesson. If we have prejudice against anybody due to the color of their skin, then it should be understood that we are in gross ignorance. But we have the opportunity to correct ourselves by remembering text number 18 of this chapter. So if we are thinking he's a black man, or he's a Chinese man, or a yellow man, white man, and they are inferior, we have a problem. We can solve the problem, we can adjust ourselves so that we don't have the problem. But we need to understand we have a problem because we're looking at the body and we're making a judgment. So very simple lesson. If we have a prejudice against somebody because of the color of their skin, then we need to address ourselves because it's on the wrong path. Very important to understand this. And it's very easy for us to understand where we are because we know what our prejudices are. And if that prejudice is based on the skin of color, then we can easily adjust ourselves, very easily adjust ourselves. The final verse is just one. And this is a really powerful verse because it brings about peace. A person in full consciousness of me. And then there's three parts to this verse. Knowing me, Krishna, to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerity. We should understand Krishna is the beneficiary of it. He'll get the benefit of it. Also knowing that he is the supreme lord of all planets and demigods. And thirdly, he is also the benefactor and well-wisher of all living. We have to understand, he is our friend. He cares for us, he loves us, he won't do anything for us, to harm us, because he's our well-wisher and benefactor. These three, if we understand these three, that he gets all the benefit, he's the Lord, and he's my caretaker, then we will have peace from the pangs of material miseries. We'll be at peace. We'll always know whatever's happening, it's because it's for my good. And thank you, my Lord. Even if it's hard, challenging things. This is the end of chapter 5. Karma Vairagya Yoga. So this verse guides us to live peacefully even during our stay in this world. We come into this world with nothing, we leave with nothing. In the interim, our claims to proprietorship and attachments to various objects create fear, insecurity, conflict. We know so many families who fall out over a few pennies. Change is a constant theme in this world. Our relationships are changing. The environment is changing. Our possessions are changing. Our desires are also changing. To the extent that we develop a sense of detachment, understanding the Supreme Lord to be the owner and ourselves just the caretaker, to that extent, we will experience a sense of peace. We should understand this, whatever I have, I'm just looking after it for somebody. No, it doesn't belong to me. It's not mine, it's God's. So lesson, very nice lesson. When we feel stressed about a particular situation, and thus we are not at peace with ourselves, we try to analyze the reason for the stress with a sense of detachment and understanding our caretaker position in this world. It will help us reduce the stress of the situation. Stress usually arises because of fear that we're going to lose something. That's usually why stress is there. We're going to lose something. Well, it's not ours in the first place. So why worry about losing something? We're simply the caretaker. And if the owner wants to take it away from us, so be it. That's his desire, because he knows he's our well-wisher. So, very powerful chapter, extremely powerful, from amazing lessons in this chapter. So, and this is just analyzing the peace formula. All right, any questions, any comments?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. You said something about this desire, Icha. Is it to do with money and seva?
Anything.
Buying the things when you go in the shop. You start buying everything.
Yeah.
So I can mention myself that I've done so many mistakes like that. I'm talking about like in young age. You go in the shop, you like it, you buy it, you like it, you buy it.
Yeah.
And then it's just lies in the house. Yeah. Even the clothing, same thing.
You don't need it. You think, why did I buy it?
Yeah. But now I can realize, like, as I grew up, I mean, I've been with my friend today. We went out this afternoon. We met in Lewisham, and then we went in quite a few shops, look around. So many things like Christmas. Oh my God! And I was talking to her. Do you want to buy anything? She said no. She asked me, "Do?" I said no. It's nice to look around. I don't want to buy it. So it's like the desire. You said the icha, and where you want. You just say no, you don't need it. And this is after a long time. Then didn't realize when I was young.
And we know where the desires start from. As soon as you look at something, and you know, like window shopping, as soon as you do some window shopping, oh, that's nice. And then that contemplation brings attachment to that item. And that attachment makes the desire to get it stronger. And this is where it starts, by looking. So best thing is not even to do any window shopping.
So nice things everywhere. And then I said, no, I don't want. She said, no. So just look around, window shop. We had a little lunch, and then we just she went home and I came home myself. And second thing was, you said something about do something for the temple.
Yes, part of the income that we have should be given as a donation to the temple. We should use some of our wealth. It depends on our situation. You know, some people can give more, some people can give less, whatever it is. But something should be given.
Is it only the money, or is it food or anything?
Yeah, anything. Food, time. Time is our biggest wealth. Give some time.
Like go and do some voluntary,
do some voluntary seva. Yeah. Food, cooking. All of this is very, very. Some people don't have money, you know, and they offer their service. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
If one works, then one should give a little bit from, you know, whatever one can afford, you know, whatever one can do with a heart.
With the heart, yeah. And it's nice to know these things as we grow up. I can remember my mommy always used to say that every month whatever you get the money, you should take some money out of and then just donate to the temple.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
That's it, yeah. Now, one thing, another one is dog outcaster. What is that?
That's like those who in society are so degraded, they don't actually have a role in the system. Yeah, so generally the Vedic system includes everybody, but occasionally there can be some types of people who don't fit within even the Vedic model. So they're not a Brahmin, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They even be outside of that category.
So outcast, they can't join in the Vedic. Is that what you say?
They voluntarily don't join in. That's right. They can, but because of their nature, they're just not interested. They're not interested in society, basically, or living in a proper society. You know.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, unless there's anything else, we can stop there. Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 ki jai, and we'll try to do chapter 6 tomorrow. Probably be half of chapter 6 because it's quite a long chapter, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna. You can stop there 1 second.